This is False Start, a college football podcast for everyone and everyone else. I'm your host, Jon Buhler, lead writer for Fansided. I'm joined today by a man who I've talked to more recently than I've been outside, and watched my Atlanta Falcons just throw up all over themselves.
Yeah,
What a train wreck. But this show prevails. Cody Williams, content director, fansided.com. How are you?
doing good, man. I have been outside today, so there's that. And the Cowboys didn't play today. I got the big win on Thanksgiving, so I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm sorry about your Falcons. As I said pre-show, didn't see that coming. That's for sure. I like even the Falcons, like whatever stink is on them right now. I thought the Jets stink would just be worse.
Yeah, maybe that might be par for the course a little bit. I mean, I'm incredibly disrespectful to the Jets. I call them the Jetty Jets,
Yeah,
and we lost to them. Granted, the weather is terrible, and granted that stadium needs to be imploded because
it
it's a
truly
safety
does.
hazard.
Yeah,
They care less about safety there at MetLife than they do in Italy. They don't care. Like
yeah. They told OSHA to go F themselves for sure.
And that's kind of what Lane Kiffin did to Ole Miss over the last couple of days here.
Yeah.
We've obviously false started here. Our first to 15, there was no other way to start with he gone, he coming, he gone eventually. We're going to get you guys all caught up here today with the latest of the coaching carousel. This is a very fluid situation. Probably going to use that as our sixth segment on a Thursday show because there may be more fallout. So we'll get you all caught up to speed here.
Mhm.
It's been a very tumultuous Sunday so far.
It's been moving quickly, man. It's been like we woke up with nothing, not a whole hell of a lot to talk about, and by the time we started recording, there's a whole hell of a lot to talk about. So here we are.
And run in, run in, and run in, run in, and run in, run in. This thing has gone cuckoo. So I'm gonna get you caught up to speed as of what 4:37 Eastern, 2:37 Mountain Time right now.
Mhm.
So here's everything that we know thus far in the coaching cycle. James Franklin is going to Virginia Tech. Former or North Texas head coach Eric Morris is going to take over at Oklahoma State at the end of the season. This
Mhm.
guy he's going to be coaching the Mean Green throughout the American Championship and in the playoff if they were to make it.
Mhm.
Jim Mora Jr. Left a really good UConn team to take over a not very good team in the Mountain West in Colorado State.
Mhm.
We talked about this a little bit pre-production. Co-offensive coordinator, one of the many co-offensive coordinators they have at Alabama, Jamarcus Shepard, their wide receivers coach. He's going to take over at Oregon State. It seems as though he's probably not going to go to Atlanta for the SEC championship, coach the Iron Bowl, and go. We'll see what happens come the SEC championship on Saturday.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we kind of touched on this. We were trying to find any concrete information on this pre-show, and we really couldn't, but it did seem like there were signs that the Iron Bowl was his last hurrah. But we've talked about it before. Like Kalen DeBoer has a huge staff at Alabama. You have co-DCs, co-OCs, and like this, there are definitely drawbacks to that, but this is one of the pluses of it is if one of them leaves, you have another defensive coordinator right there.
They are taking a staffer for like the recruiting thing. It's Aaron Hughes, I think, following Jamarcus Shepard at Corvallis. I think that broke earlier today. Pete Nagos has been on fire. Marty Smith in shambles.
Pete Nakos is he's having a day, man. He's putting up numbies, that's for sure.
Yes, he is. We called this one beforehand. Tavita Pritchard is leaving the Washington Commanders, take over his alma mater of Stanford. Phil Smart there. And then this is kind of where the ball started rolling today. Alex Golesh is taking over at Auburn, leaving USF. We thought he was going to go to either Florida or Arkansas.
Hmm.
No, he's going to Auburn, man.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's a hell of a get for Auburn. Like, I think that's a home run hire for what, like, we're very high on Alex Golesh. We've not made really any secrets about that. But, like, for Auburn to just kind of come out of the woodwork right there and just be like, no, no, you guys take a back seat. We're going to hire the guy.
There were some rumblings that it might have been DJ Durkin promoted from within, but like, nah, that's
You can't do that after hiring Hugh Freesfeld. Like, you can't do
no,
that.
no. I mean, Auburn doesn't have a soul, so they hired a ginger.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, better a ginger than DJ Durkin, and I'll leave it at that.
That's fair. So because Golesh is not going to go to Arkansas, Memphis head coach Ryan Silverfield is going there. People in um, Tennessee are doing cartwheels in the streets. Hunter Yurchek is firing up like a red flare in the air. Arkansas thinks that they won. They might have lost here. We'll see what happens. But Silverfield was a good head coach at Memphis. Arkansas has just been in the pits in the wake of Pitmaster Sam Pittman.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about this one. And it's not because I don't think Silverfield's a good coach. I just think that at a program like Arkansas, I feel like he could struggle. I feel like he's such an offensive minded head coach. Like you think of what Memphis has always been, and it's just offense, and like that's kind of the lineage that he came up with, and like how he made his bones as a head coach at Memphis. And I'm worried that it's just going to be exactly what we saw from Arkansas this year. Arkansas's offense wasn't the problem this year. You had Bobby Petrino, as your interim head coach. The offense was cooking, and you still couldn't win games because your defense was hot trash.
Well, I mean, Memphis is almost in Arkansas. It's just across the
Yeah,
Mississippi River from that. But granted, Fayetteville is in the complete opposite side of the state. So,
yeah.
like, we'll see what happens there. Jon Sumrall did this with class. He's going to coach the Tulane Green Wave through the American Championship, potentially in the playoff if they were to beat North Texas. He's going to take over at Florida. This is kind of a mixed bag from what I've heard. Ben Henderson at Hale, Florida Hale, is not a fan of this, but we're massive fans of Jon Sumrall. I thought he was going to take the Auburn gig, man.
Yeah, I did too. I'm going to disagree with Florida fans. I think this is a good hire for your program. Anyone calling that, like I've seen it called Billy Napier 2.0, it is not that. I promise you it is not that. Like Jon Sumrall has a much longer and much better track record of creating a culture and creating exactly what Florida needs right now. Florida needs an identity and they haven't had that in a long time. And like I think he's also, whereas Billy Napier came in as, quote unquote, an offensive guru or someone to do that, like Jon Summerall's coming in there as a CEO type. Like he's coming in there and he's going to hire coordinators to worry about everything else. And he's going to build a culture. He's going to build the infrastructure. He's going to get on recruiting. And like that's what Florida needs. Florida doesn't need a quick fix. They need someone who's going to institutionally change what this program has been.
I'm looking for Paul Feinbaum to go complete 180 on this guy in the course of the calendar year. Jon Sumrall is great. It's like, we got to get rid of Jon Sumrall. We got to bring him back.
Yeah, that's right. We got to bring him back.
It's like a damn narrative to Pixar. They lose the baby. We got to find the baby. We got to bring the baby back.
It's all right. We got to bring the baby back.
And then the one we were all waiting for. Lane Kiffin is going to go to LSU. Burned every bridge possible, including the one he's standing on. The stipulation was like, he wanted to have his cake and eat it too. He wanted to coach Ole Miss in the playoff. That was not happening. So Keith Carter, the AD there in Oxford's like, you know what? Let's give Pete Golding a shot. And you know what? The vibes seem good. The visor's flowing. He looks like, Oxford's not the sip, it's Flavor Town now, bro.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is, man. It's gonna be it'll be cool, man. I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know if he's gonna be able to continue it. But I mean, I've seen some old, and granted, you got to take this with a grain of salt because it is salty Ole Miss fans that are talking like this. But I've seen a lot of talk about people calling Lane Kiffin lazy and saying Pete Golding was doing most of the recruiting and the work anyway. So we'll see what the case is there and how this continues at Ole Miss. But I mean, I understand this isn't what Ole Miss fans want to hear right now, but he does have pretty damn big shoes to fill.
I believe I saw somewhere Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator, is going to follow Wayne to LSU, and
I think
LSU is
it's like
looking.
his entire offensive staff, frankly.
Yeah, probably like Joe Cox and everything like that. It looks like the LSU is going to try to retain Blake Baker to call the defense.
It's a good
That'd be
idea.
cool. I will say though, man, like Lane showed his ass. He was a hoe, and
Mhm.
I don't. I can't root for this man. I'm sorry. I've been rooting for Lane at Ole Miss the whole time to turn his life around, but he hasn't grown up a lot since dinner. He fed his dinner to the dog under the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely unfortunate as two people on this podcast who have defended Lane Kiffin a whole hell of a lot over the past couple years, and definitely taking some egg on the face right now with because he did not handle this well, that's for sure.
No, he didn't, particularly with how well Eric Morris and John Summerall handled it. Granted, this is different going from, the group of five to the power four, but also maybe you don't leave for one of your biggest rivals. I was telling the Arizona State podcast, like, could you imagine if Kirby was playing floor with Alabama in this situation?
Right. Yeah, I mean it's a rival. It is I mean, and like it's in conference, and in addition to that, it's not even like going Clemson or South Carolina to Clemson or anything like that. Like there's just so many factors, and like I think the weirdest optics of it is like Ole Miss is probably still going to be in the college football playoff, and Lane Kiffin's going to LSU because it's quote unquote a better job. And like I do agree objectively, like in a vacuum, it is a better job than Ole Miss, the resources and everything that you have available to you. But also right now, currently, Ole Miss is a better place to be.
Yeah, the last three head coaches have all been run out of town in pretty awful fashion.
Yeah.
They made Les Miles look like he had like, yeah, please drink your thing. Okay. They made the Mad Hatter seem like he had like mercury poisoning, and he
Yeah,
might have.
100%. I mean, they might have been right on that one. Let's be clear about that.
They got rid of Coach O in 2 years after having the greatest team of all time. He basically was Gene Chizik for them in some ways,
Yeah, that
but
that's the one
better.
that I can't. That's the one that really grinds my gears a little bit. Like Brian Kelly, like it doesn't grind my gears at all. He was a weird fit, and like you were hoping that just coaching, like his pedigree would matter. But like Coach O's one of your own. Coach O was a dude who had just won a national championship 2 years prior, and like one of the things we talked about with Brian Kelly is like, man, the talent acquisition really dropped off when Brian Kelly took over the program. And you know who was doing the talent acquisition very well and maybe not getting the results that you needed, but like Coach O never had a talent problem at LSU.
And he put a curse on them.
Probably.
That wouldn't shock me in the slightest here. So then there's also been two coaches who've been fired today. Tim Beck is out at Coastal Carolina. Man, that thing has hit the skids the last 5 years.
100%. Yeah, I think the more I'm looking at it, the more I think Jamie Chadwell might have been jumping ship because he knew that this was what was coming.
It's also sinking there in
Yeah.
your hometown or your birth town of Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say he jumped to the right ship. I just said he jumped ship.
And what a sad bag of crap it was in East Lansing. It didn't matter how much Matt Ishbia or Dan Gilbert money you had. Michigan State got rid of Jonathan Smith after 2 years. Did not fit. The man was just stoic. He was probably just comatose on the sidelines. You would wonder if he could go back to alma mater, but they just hired Jamarcus Shepard. I think Jonathan Smith probably sits out this year and he figures some stuff out.
Yeah, 100%. Probably maybe goes back to, Corvallis as like an advisor or something like that because Jamarcus Shepard obviously, going into a little bit of uncharted territory there.
100%. And because Michigan State has no shame, look who they're trying to get to be their next head coach. That'd be a disgraced former Northwestern's All-American Hall of Famer and head coach Pat Fitzgerald. Michigan State, it's always like this, man. It's just so slimy outside of Tom Izzo.
It's wild that you like the football program is the way it is when Tom Izzo's been there for 3 decades and like just succeeding the entire like it blows my mind that two programs within the same institution can be so differently run.
100%. And also, like, I mean, Pat Fitzgerald was iconic there at Northwestern.
Hmm.
David Braun's got it figured out. Can't wait to see. We'll probably talk on them a little bit later in the program, or at least I will.
Hmm.
Again, that's not official yet. It might be, but it certainly looks like something from the Detroit Free Press came out and said like it was probably going to be Pat Fitzgerald. Again, he kind of got exonerated or whatever that led to his ousting there in Evanston. It's going to be weird seeing him coaching Green. I know this is also a guy that had been tied to UCLA for a while,
Hmm.
but like he's back in the Big Ten. The man course Big Ten energy through his veins.
Oh yeah.
Michigan State. It's just Mark D'Antonio will never give him enough credit for how good he was.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what I keep coming back to is like you probably shouldn't have just moved on from Mark D'Antonio. Like that's really what it comes down to for me is like you set you put your hand in the cookie jar and it got stuck. Like that's where it feels like Michigan State is, and your hand's still not out of the cookie jar.
I mean, Mark D'Antonio was like, you know what, I'm going to take that pay bonus and then dip out right before COVID. But I
Yeah.
get that, I get that golden parachute sort of thing. But like when you have an iconic head coach like that who is an institution, it's very hard to replace them. I mean, look what happened to Virginia Tech in the wake of Frank Beamer and everything like that. They're trying maybe to work with Franklin. I think we're bullish on that,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's not an easy place to win.
No, it's definitely not. And I mean, like it makes me think about other places that have institutions that head coach. Like it makes how Utah is handling Kyle Whittingham's final years make a whole hell of a lot more sense. Like, they want to make sure that they basically have a successor being groomed under Kyle Whittingham to be able to like take over for this. It's very much in the Oklahoma model to some degree.
Yeah, Morgan Scalley is young. The defense plays hard there. It'll be his time when it's his time,
Right.
effectively.
And then like you have someone like Iowa, like, we were talking like last year, is it time for Kirk Ferentz to move on? And like Kirk Ferentz is still a good football coach. Iowa had a bounce back year from what was a down year last year, and like Yeah, I mean, it's gonna whenever Kirk Ferentz moves on, they're gonna have to be smart about how they go about that.
Yeah, probably go. I don't think you go Mark Stoops. Maybe you just go LeVar Woods from special teams at that point.
Yeah, you got to do something. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's Phil Parker, like something like
Phil
that.
Parker.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so right now, these are the jobs that are still open. UCLA, Penn State, UAB, North Texas, Cal, UConn, South Florida, Memphis, Coastal, Tulane, and I guess Michigan State. I'll ask you a question here real quick, and then we'll go back
yeah.
to the hires we've made. Which of these jobs, let's move Michigan State from the equation. Which one gets filled next?
I would venture to guess it's probably. I would say probably Memphis feels like, or one of the American jobs, either Memphis or Tulane or South Florida. Like those feel like the three that I think that they're pretty decisive on what they do. Memphis, I said Memphis just because like they have an identity and like they've all like every head coach that we've seen come through Memphis has kind of filled that same identity over the years as they've had to replace, Mike Norvell, Justin Fuente, like all these coaches. And so like I feel like that just feels like a, kind of like a pecking order thing that they have going in Memphis. But that's not the best job, but like the best job on here, which is Penn State, is they keep running into roadblocks with being used as leverage, more or less, to get an extension.
We've seen Bob Chesney tied there. We've seen Kalen DeBoer tied there. We'll see what happens. The one to watch for Memphis in these Group of Five jobs is Jerry Mack at Kennesaw State,
100%. Yeah.
who's still technically alive to make the playoff now since the changes. Also, shame on you, Mountain West, for giving us Boise State UNLV for the third year in a row.
That's completely bogus. Like Boise State's not that good, man.
No, it should be New Mexico there, man. I don't care if they beat UCLA. They should be able to go to this thing.
Like honestly too, like we talked about it on Saturday night. Like it's a low percentage chance that the Mountain West gets a representative in the college football playoff. I feel like the matchup that you just gave us guarantees that that's not going to happen. Like that it might as well be 0.0% chance now.
Pretty much is. I mean, I don't know what FPI technically has. Maybe one of them's in there. So let's go back to the guys who've been hired.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite and which one are you dubious about? And I'll give my response after you give yours.
I'm gonna give two favorites just because like they're a little different, but I do like them both quite a bit. I'm a big fan of Eric Morris at Oklahoma State. Like
Hmm.
before Eric Morris got to North Texas, like it was a program that was struggling, man. Like it was trying to find their footing once again, and like we've seen the Mean Green like pop every now and then and be fun for sure, but like not be in the conversation for a college football playoff spot. That's not something we've seen, and for what Oklahoma State needs, they need a triage. They need someone to come in and like do hardcore surgery on this and someone who does have general ties to the region. Like North Texas isn't Northern Texas, so you are closer to the to Oklahoma State. So like I think that that's a really strong fit and someone who can go in there and after like replacing a legend like Mike Gundy, we talked about that is difficult, but I think he's someone who has enough young blood in him and the coaching circles to be able to do that and like kind of create a new identity for Oklahoma State. Secondly, and I've already talked about it, Alex Golesh to Auburn. Like I'm a huge fan of that, and like I think it's a big move by Auburn to swoop in someone that Florida was obviously looking at, someone that another SEC team in Arkansas was looking at, and be like, no, that's our guy, and we're gonna get him in here. And like he also I think he embodies everything that Hugh Freeze is not. Like he's an offensive mind, sure, like they're both offensive minded head coaches, but at the same time, like Alex Golesh comes in there and like you think about the programs that he's been a part of. He was on Josh Heupel's staff at Tennessee when they needed to really rework what that program was and raise the floor and hopefully raise the ceiling there. You go to South Florida, a program that had made some bad coaching hires before they hired Alex Golesh, and he had
Right.
to, build that up from the ground up. Auburn's not necessarily on the ground. There's a ton of talent in that program right now, and I think that they got a guy who's going to be able to maximize that.
Again, I'm a big fan of those two hires. I would say Eric Morris is my favorite. Again, this is a guy who played for Mike Leach, got hired at North Texas, I believe the same date weekend that Mike Leach passed.
Yeah,
What people have to remember about North Texas is they were like fiddle farting around with Seth Luttrell. They couldn't do much in offense. Look what happened when he took over, as the play caller at his alma mater of OU. Brent Venables could not get rid of him fast enough.
right.
And I think with Oklahoma State, you got to get something that's not Gundy. I mean, I would have loved for them to hire Zach Robinson as opposed to this guy cannot call third down to save a lot his life for
Right.
him. That's probably why the team been picking Strush is like, nah, we ain't doing that.
We're super good on that.
I've also would say with Golesh is good as well. This brings up a conversation where I think Tennessee's they've kind of peaked under Josh Heupel because at least with Golesh, because he's a former like tight end
Mhm.
kind of guy, there's a physicality that the South Florida Bulls had that I don't think Tennessee has. And I think if you have a guy who seems like a decent person going to Auburn, which has been a very long time since, maybe since Gus, I think, really. Maybe
Yeah.
Horson seems like a good dude, but like somebody that you can be excited to pull for here. As a Georgia fan who hates Auburn, I'm like, this works. I don't think they'll ever beat us, but like they'll beat somebody.
100%. And like I just think it's a I don't know about Tennessee peaking necessarily because I'm still a believer that Joey Aguilar was a stopgap and like the best you could do right now. And like in the wake of the Nico situation. And so like I still think that Tennessee can bounce back from what they were and like maybe they have reached their peak, but I think they can reach it again if that makes sense under Josh Heupel. Which in a 12-team playoff era, I think that probably gets you to the playoff too. When you think about the Hendon Hooker years, like I think that that's still within reach for this Tennessee program. But yeah, I think that this. I don't know if it's going to be immediate, but I do think that this raises the floor of Auburn moving forward in a big way.
And we've already talked about this. I'm a big fan of the James Franklin hire at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
You owe it to yourself here. Don't have to spend a lot of time on it. Which of these Which of these are you dubious of? Which ones you're like, I need to see more. I'm not so sure sold on this yet.
I'll go with two again. I don't understand Jim Mora going to Colorado State. Other than Colorado Springs is that's not even Colorado Springs. Where is Colorado State? I'm totally blanking.
Fort Collins.
Fort Collins,
Yes, same
excuse me.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, Air Force is Colorado Springs. That's what was going through my head. Fort Collins, that area is absolutely gorgeous. So like maybe he just wants to go live in a Rocky Mountain town. But like outside of that, I don't know why you do this because you built UConn into something that I don't think either you or I thought UConn was capable of. They went 9-3 this season. I did like 2 years ago. If you told me UConn went 9-3, and I told you were smoking crack, like that's where I was, like truly. And so like it's just a weird move, and like I'm not gonna say it's gonna fail or anything like that, but Colorado State's a hard job. Like it's a very hard job. And UConn was a hard job too, but it was something that you had already like done the groundwork on. And at Jim Mora's age, like I don't know, it just feels like a weird fit there. The other one, I already mentioned it as well, but like Ryan Silverfield going to Arkansas, like I just think I like the coach, and I think that Arkansas, although a tough job, you can find some success with the right coach. I think it's a bad match. Like I just don't think that the fit is right between those two.
Yeah, those are the two that really stand out to me as well. I saw Mike Norvell was trending. I thought he got fired, maybe not so much. But um, Colorado State and Arkansas are kind of similar in a lot of ways, where
Yeah,
like they would spend a lot of money to not win a lot of games.
right.
And again, it's like Jay Norvell did not leave the Rams in like the best spot there. There was a
No.
lot of expectations for the Rams this year. They didn't achieve them. Not to say that they had the same with Arkansas, but like Taylor Green had promise. Silverfield, I guess they're probably thinking that like because you've had success in Memphis, maybe that was kind of treading in our turf. Maybe that's an area that we can recruit because in Tennessee and Vanderbilt are firing on all cylinders. Memphis is kind of right there too. Um, it would have been better if you would have gotten like you moved on from Sam Pittman to hire Ryan Silverfield. It kind of feels like but you know
Feels
what?
very lateral, man. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like I don't feel like this is a meaningful like if I'm in Fayetteville, like I'm not excited about this. Like this like to your point, like this isn't someone that's going to put asses in the seats, quite frankly.
And I'll have some. I'm a little dubious about Jamarcus Shepard and Tavita Pritchard too. I think just
I
because
go
you
ahead.
good.
No, you go ahead.
Jamarcus Shepard's never been a head coach before. Oregon State's a really difficult job. Jonathan Smith's back on the market right now. And I understand that he, can recruit receivers and everything like that. I understand the Pac-12 is going to look different now next year. It's not going to be the Pac-2. Like all the
Mhm.
states are basically joining you as well. So maybe you'll have an upper hand here. But like this is it's just an unknown thing. And as far as Tavita Pritchard's concerned, it feels that Andrew Luck's basically they're just bending over backwards for him, and he's hiring his friend and the guy that was his backup who he replaced. For Stanford, I'm like, this seemed like the right sort of hire, but because Luck was so involved, it was either going to be him or Ryan Walter, Troy Walters. Yeah,
Yeah,
Troy
yeah, yeah, Troy
Walters.
Walters. So I'm with you on Jamarcus Shepard. Like that's probably my third if I had to list a third that I'm a little dubious of. Like the lack of experience at a job that is very difficult. Like, I mean, there's not a whole lot of sustained success that we've seen at Oregon State. And like frankly, I don't like this is no offense to Jamarcus Shepard, but like I think I might be like unfavorable towards most coaches who got hired at this spot because it is just a very tough place to coach and a very and like you're going into the new Pac-12, whatever that looks like, and like it's just a weird time and a weird time to be taking over a program that's in a bad spot right now. I'm a little higher on Tavita Pritchard. I understand the concerns that you're coming out with Luck, but I also think about what Luck and the success, like when Luck was at Stanford and the success that he had under Harbaugh during his time in Palo Alto, excuse me. Like when you think about Harbaugh as a coach, he was running Michigan, he was running Stanford like a professional organization. Like he was an NFL coach coaching a college football team, and like that's kind of how the operation ran. And when I think about, Andrew Luck having his hands in that, and I think of Tavita Pritchard coming from an NFL staff, like it feels like trying to get back to those roots to some degree. And I think if you're Stanford, that's kind of what you need to be doing. If you're like, I'm not saying Stanford can get back to the highs that they previously had, but like you can get somewhere close to it and not be a doormat. And that's what we're looking for.
I think the Troy Taylor era was just so caustic, and it was
Yeah.
like David Shaw was such a good dude, had been there. We know Jim Harbaugh is a different human being,
He
and
he
let's
is
just
himself. There's no doubt about it.
yeah, I know. I keep thinking about that time he goes to the coaches meeting in between what Doug Peterson and Antonio Pierce with his dip cup in his mouth, and they're just like, this
Yeah.
thing stinks.
Only a hardball, man.
Only a hardball man, and that's good. We'll probably touch on this a little bit more on Thursday's show a little bit. Maybe it's not a whole segment. We'll have an update here anyway. But let's move on
100%.
to our next topic here with playoffs. You kidding me? Thank God I was lost there on the sheet right now, man. Now we're good.
We're good, man. We're playoffing. We're good.
All right. Our projected 12 team playoffs and first four out. I'm not gonna like speak on behalf of you. I would venture to guess the top four or eight are probably relatively the same, and let's just go. Okay, I've got Indiana at one.
I also have Indiana at one.
I think they're just steadier than Ohio State and they're easier to root for. They crush people, whereas I think Ohio State sometimes gets in the mud and they'll come out of the mud okay, but it's like Hexas coming out of Fern Gully.
I legitimately thought about this the other day. If I have one major concern about Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game and frankly in the college football playoff as well, yeah, I wonder if they blew their load a little bit in the Michigan game.
Yeah, they kind of empty the chamber a little bit too.
Yeah. And so like that has me worried, especially against a team like Indiana and a coach like Kurt Signetti, because if that is the case, he's going to take full advantage of it.
I was thinking about this. Maybe they empty the clip a little bit in terms of like protection up
Hmm.
front.
Yeah.
That was kind of because it was like it seemed like they were doing stuff that Michigan wasn't quite ready for with the front seven. And they were able to run a lot of, I guess, outside zone. Again, I didn't play, but like it seemed like they were always able to kind of get whatever they wanted outside the tackle
Hmm.
pretty easily on the ground. I don't necessarily know if that's going to work versus Indiana. Indiana really has the bodies to do it, but like Indiana will have a game plan to counter.
I mean, I personally think Indiana's defensive front is better than Michigan's this year, so it's a bigger test on top of that.
All right, at two, I still have Ohio State. They're undefeated. I would venture to guess whoever loses in Indianapolis between Indiana or Ohio State's going to be a top three seed.
I would too. I have Ohio State at three. I have Georgia at two. So I mean, it's the same difference. Like I think that 1-2 is going to be the Big Ten and SEC champions in whatever order.
Yeah, and I have Georgia at three because I need to see who wins Indy first.
100%.
Ugly game for Georgia, but like I said, defense is starting to really figure it out. I'll tell you what, Glenn Schumann might be a candidate to take over at South Florida.
Don't hate it. Don't hate it at all.
No, no, at that point, what you'd have T-Rob, I guess, would be your, or Dante Williams would be your defensive coordinator, I
I
guess.
like that. That's not a bad thing.
No, I don't either, but it's like I feel with Georgia, they weren't going to show anything in the passing game versus Tech. I don't think that I think that they have respect for them, but they didn't have like they didn't want to do a lot in the passing game versus Tech.
No, 100%. I think that was a let Gunner Stockton rest a little bit. I think that's what that looked a lot like to me.
The Drew Bobo injury scares me. Again, I don't know exactly if there's been an update on that. There probably will be by the time this comes up on Monday, but like,
Yeah,
yeah, a little concerned about that.
understandably so. It's not the middle of the offensive line is not something you want to compromise when you're about to face Alabama.
We probably have the same team at 4. I think it's Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I just can't justify like I mean the AP poll Oregon is 4, but I can't justify Texas Tech, who I'm projecting to win the Big 12 championship. Like I can't justify not giving them a top 4 seed with like in favor of a team that's not playing for a conference championship. I can't do that.
Yeah, I would venture to guess it'll be Indiana, Ohio State, whoever wins the SEC championship, and Texas Tech probably be the 4 seeds. I would say Texas Tech could be 3, maybe.
Hmm.
Bama could be 4 in that situation.
Yeah, 100%. And like I have a hard time. I like even if Bama wins, I don't know if they get the bye necessarily because 10-4 is a big jump. That's a big jump over a lot of quality programs.
It'd be very close.
Yeah,
Um, so at 5, that's as interesting here. We may differ a little bit. I ultimately settled on Oregon at 5.
I also have Oregon at 5. I mean, we can be dubious of them and respect what they've done to this point. And outside of the Indiana game, they passed a lot of tests that we frankly did not think they were going to. So, gonna give them their credit. They're 11-1, relatively tough schedule down the stretch there, and you survived it.
You have an opportunity to get healthy
Hmm.
in your receiving core that'll help Dante Moore out. You haven't heard Will Stein's name mentioned for a lot of these jobs. Maybe that's the guy that they're looking at in State College.
Ooh, I like that. State College would be nice. I was thinking UCLA and Will Stein telling him I'm good, but like State College would make a lot of sense.
But he's like our age. He's like, you think a 35-year-old, 36-year-old's like ready to go to like do that right
I
now?
mean, fair. It's very fair.
The reason I have Oregon at 5, and even though I talk a lot of smack about them because they hadn't really beat anybody worth a damn outside of USC now, who thinks good.
Mhm.
Um, and I say they're a bunch of fake tough guys. I don't like the heel turn that the big cheese Dan Lanning is doing right now.
Yeah,
But I will say this: Oregon has a very strong identity. I think they know who they are, which I think beats them, which I think is a separating factor for them with the teams I have 6, 7, 8.
I agree. I agree completely. And like, yeah, 6, 7, 8 is kind of just a mess, honestly.
All right, who do you have at 6?
I have Texas A&M at 6. I don't feel good about it, but I need to say 7 so I can explain my 6. I have Ole Miss at 7. I think that they get penalized for Lane Kiffin leaving. Like that's where I really come down on it.
All right, 6, 7, 8 for me. I've got Oklahoma 6, Texas A&M 7, Ole Miss 8 because I do
Okay.
think they get penalized. I think again it comes down to identity. And I think Oklahoma knows that we've got a great defense. Brent Venables is just like the kid, just
Dude wakes up in the morning and has smelling salts for breakfast. Like,
the man was just born tan. He's
that's
just
right.
his middle name is probably Tanner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
uh, they have a great defense, and then John Mateer, just like with a block hand, we don't even know what the hell is going on here. But Oklahoma, pretty cathartic. I feel like, I mean, I know they've got 2 losses here. I just feel like they've got a stronger identity. Texas A&M's got to figure that out because I
Mhm.
think Texas kind of big brother to them. And then Ole Miss for me, I'm like the coaching staff. We're really going to trust Pete Golding, who couldn't get Georgia off the field one time.
No.
Like,
And like again, I'm also not ruling out the fact and like there is precedent for this and I need that needs to be said, but like there's a non again, I mentioned it on Saturday night, but like there's a non-zero chance that Lane Kiffin takes Trinidad Chambliss with him. And when
yeah,
if that were to happen, like I understand you would still have Austin Simmons in the building. I don't know if you recall what happened to Florida State when they lost Jordan Travis, but the committee was like, "Get the hell out of here." And so, like, I like there is precedent to Ole Miss being penalized for what they're losing before we get to the selection Sunday.
there's a chance they may not play a home game in Oxford, but they're going to make the playoff. That's a
Yeah,
travesty to the players who are still there. They're 11-1.
yeah.
They lost to the third best team in
You
the country.
cannot keep them out of the playoff. But
Right.
like, they penalized, yes, and like if I'm being honest, I have them as the 7 seed because of who they play in the 10 seed in the 7-10 matchup. Like I think that's the penalty that they're going to have to face here.
So you've got Texas A&M at 6, Ole
Oklahoma at
Miss at
8. So we have the same 6,
7.
7, 8.
Okay, cool. So we have the same top 8, just in a different order.
Yeah.
9. 9, I have Alabama,
Okay. I have Notre Dame at 9. I
which I have at 10.
Okay, and I have Alabama at 10. So same teams. We'll touch on this in a second. I think Alabama is in the playoff. That's just where I'm coming down on this. You have one of the best wins in the country against Georgia, and even if you lose the rematch, like I don't think that like you still have that win. Like that doesn't remove the fact that you beat them. And so, and then with Notre Dame, like I know that Miami fans are gonna like they keep talking about the head to head. Your losses matter, man. Like who you lost to matters, and you lost to SMU and Louisville, and
Yeah.
looked like dog water in both of those games. To on top of that, Notre Dame's 2 losses are against Miami. Yes, I understand the head-to-head aspect of that, but like you lost to 2 top 12 teams. Like those are your 2 losses, and then you beat the brakes off of everyone else you played, including some good teams in terms of Michigan and USC. So like I just I can't get there with Miami to put them in over Notre Dame because of the head to head. Because more like, yes, the head to head matters, but more than just the head to head matters.
Yes. And you've been playing great football for the last
Hmm.
what, 12 weeks, like three
Yeah.
months. That matters. I wouldn't say they're the hottest team in the last 3 months, but certainly up there.
I would say they're the steadiest, like the steadiest, like really good team.
More so than Indiana. They're close. They're
Yes. Yeah.
close.
Like it's like, I mean, if you're in the conversation with Indiana, you're probably doing something right. So,
You know, Indiana, you're the steady or you're not. The Hoosiers and the Fighting Irish and the Colts are steady. The Boilermakers, and I don't think the Pacers are, but the Pacers don't have Halliburton, so that's
yeah, I
tough.
mean, yeah, Pacers are pretty damn bad right now.
They're not very good here. And then I would say 11, I've got Virginia winning the ACC.
Same.
And then for the group of five at 12, I've got North Texas.
I also have North Texas. So we have the same 12 playoff teams. Look at that.
Different order. First four out, we probably have the same four teams, maybe in a different order. First team out for me is BYU
Same. I also have BYU as my first team out.
because they can play in if they win, and they would
Hmm.
steal a bid in that way. And I think it would either, we'll figure that. Will it cost Alabama or Notre Dame their spot? We don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. God.
That's
I,
tough.
I would I would probably venture to say Notre Dame because Alabama is playing for a conference championship. And more importantly, like just from a pure entertainment perspective from my end, watching Notre Dame and Miami fans fight for weeks about which of them should be in and just have them both left out would be hilarious.
Also BYU, they wanted to be Power Four. They're like, we'll play on Sundays if we have to. We want to be in the Big 12.
Hmm.
They've won a national championship before back in '84. If they can avenge their loss to, on the road in Lubbock and Arlington, they absolutely deserve to be in.
Absolutely.
I don't know where they'd be ranked, but like I would venture to guess they'd probably be top 8 if they won.
I was about to say, I think they would host a playoff, a first round game. Like I could see them going into the 8 seed for sure.
All right, second team out, I've got Vanderbilt.
I also my second team out. I think the win from over Tennessee pushes them. Honestly, I think it pushes them ahead of Miami. Like I think it makes their resume better than Miami's.
And then third team out is Miami, and fourth team out for me is Texas.
Dude, we're in the same order. We're in lockstep today, baby.
I know, man. I can't wait till you break my brain on Thursday. It was very tough with Texas beat Vanderbilt head to head, but the Florida loss is so bad. It's the same thing that punished Ole Miss a year ago.
Mhm.
They don't belong. They're not getting in, and I don't know how. Maybe you'll find a scenario where you can get Texas in, but I don't see that happen because I'm struggling to find a situation how Vanderbilt gets in.
Yeah, it's I think that we're pretty like outside of BYU potentially winning like potentially winning the Big 12, which would obviously steal a bit because I think Texas Tech is in regardless. But like outside of BYU winning, like I think like the 10 at large or the top 10 teams, and then you have your two AQs that are going to be there at 11 and 12. But like I think the top 10 teams are pretty settled at this point.
Yeah, I haven't been able to figure that out. Like, I guess the way is if Alabama just gets its ass kicked.
Yeah, which I mean, like it's college football, anything's possible, but like it feels very unlikely that that's going to happen.
No, because they're playing Georgia and they never get their ass kicked by Georgia
Right, exactly. Like
because they
that's
don't lose
just
to Georgia.
yeah, it like that feels like the like 0.1% of outcomes that are possible here.
100%. So let's share our first four buys and our matchups, and let's move on to the middle part of our show. You go
Yes,
first.
sir. Okay, so my buys, I've got Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas Tech. My 5-12, Oregon hosting North Texas. Sorry, Mean Green. I don't think that's going to end well for you. I've got Texas A&M hosting Virginia. Don't think that ends well for the Hoos, but it would be hilarious. Let me just throw that one out there.
Yes.
To my point about punishing Ole Miss, I have Ole Miss hosting Alabama in the first round playoff game. That's why I put Ole Miss at the 7 is because I had Alabama at the 10 seed, and
Yeah.
then I have Oklahoma hosting Notre Dame, which would be a fun game. Might be like a total of 17 points scored in the game, but it'd be fun.
Hell yeah. So I've got Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech all getting first round buys. I have the same 5-12 as you as Oregon hosting North Texas. The Ducks are going to win that game by a lot.
Mhm.
Your 6-11, Oklahoma versus Virginia. That's going to be take the under there.
Chandler Morris might have a real tough time.
Uh,
Real tough time.
the ultimate Chandler Morris revenge game because I think initially he was an Oklahoma recruit.
Who knows where he was at this point? That was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I know. 7-10, I have the same. I think I've got Texas A&M hosting Notre Dame, just
Mm,
rematch,
hell
but
yeah.
it's a College Station now. And then 8-9, Ole Miss hosting Alabama.
Yeah. You got
Because
to that's how the Revs are getting punished, man.
that's how they're getting punished. And I think it also, being punished by explaining to somebody who doesn't speak German what Du hast means. Let's move on to that topic here. We got two parts here because I think these were equally compelling. We thought of this last night when our brains were cooked like Frank Reich brain.
Yeah, we God thank God we didn't discuss it last night. That's for
Uh,
sure.
so the first one is Du hast. Can the group of five get two teams in this year?
I'm gonna go do Haas 1S because Duke is in the ACC championship game.
Yes.
And like that's really what it comes down to. Like we're like nitpicking and finding all these bones, all like thinking of ways that 3 loss Texas can get in. I don't care what, like if you won your league or not, they are not putting a 5 loss team in the college football playoff. There's no way,
No.
like that would be there would be riots, like true, like legitimately, like college football fans are the most unhinged like sports fan base group I've ever seen in my entire life outside of the city of Philadelphia. And like there's no way that they would like let a 5 loss team ride and like everyone just okay, yeah, sure. Like I just can't see that. So like that's your path. Outside of that, I don't see it. Like I don't see them usurping Virginia. I don't see anything of that happening. And like there's no other Power Four conference championship game that really opens the door for them to do that. But because Duke is in the ACC championship game, it is very possible.
I'm gonna go a little more negative. I'm gonna go Du hast, two S's. Do I think it can happen? Yes. Do I think it will happen? No. Because I think Virginia is a little bit steadier here. Although I do think Manny Diaz is a fantastic head coach.
Yeah.
I think he's actually a better head coach than Tony Elliott.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was thinking about that coming off the show on Saturday night was like man, Virginia is definitely the better team, but there's two like truths that I know. One is that the ACC can't do anything to help itself, and the other truth is that I'm right there with you. I think Manny Diaz is a better and more proven head coach. He's also been in similar spots, whereas this is a newfound territory for Tony Elliott as a head
So for
coach.
so for this to effectively happen, to get two group of five teams in, Duke has to beat Virginia. And I would assume you'd probably need Tulane to beat North Texas because they've been consistent with that the entire time.
Mhm.
And then James Madison just has to follow Troy, basically.
Yeah, you need to not have many upsets in the G5 conference championship games.
No, I was just checking to make sure we'd have any more coaching updates. Good for Marty Smith. Lane Kiffin actually did something nice that wasn't selfish today.
What do you
He
do?
he allowed Marty Smith to go on his plane, so to from Oxford to Baton Rouge. He gets an exclusive thing on there after what Pete Nakos and Ross Taylor just scooped him, dude.
I mean, congrats to Lane for doing some charity after being a total douchebag. Like,
Never change, Lane.
no,
Never change.
he won't. We're finding out quickly and by the day.
Marty's hair got grayer, but man, that thing is perfectly coiffed. I mean, like maybe is that who Chris Landers is like is a personal hero? even
Yeah,
though,
Chris Landers is northeastern Marty Smith. Like that's that there
yes.
we go. That's what we're looking for. Speaking of, like, does anyone outside, like, since Lee Corso is like obviously now outside of the college football space, does anyone in college football have a more unanimous approval rating than Marty Smith? Like, I don't know many people that dislike Marty Smith.
Maybe Ryan McGee in tandem, but like certainly
Yeah.
I would say Marty Smith. Trying to
I
think of
think
who
he's just good
else.
at his job, man. Like that's really what it comes down to.
What is Holly Rowe? That's the other one.
Oh, Holly Rose, yeah. Holly Rose is a good one. That's a
Holly
good call.
like Holly Rowe, I would say Jenny Taft,
Yeah.
probably in the same
The
sort of.
all-American girl.
Uh, I'm so tired of Gus Johnson. I put him on mute, man. I can't do it anymore.
The all-American girl.
Because the worst part's I'm a big Joel Klatt fan. I think he does a good job. I just can't get
100%.
it. But have Joel Klatt do sidelines for ESPN.
Please, anything but what's happening currently.
I know it's not great. So we think it could happen. We think it's going to happen. I don't know. Probably
Yeah,
not.
I'm dubious.
But the other one, the other part of the Duhast tandem, the tag team, the Lou Ferrigno estate with Tevin Downey here, Peter Clavin. Duhast. Should a team who makes a Power Four title bout be penalized with a loss and miss the playoff? We are obviously talking about Alabama in the same conundrum that SMU was a year ago.
Yeah, and I think because of SMU, I think I have to go like hold on, let me think. Let me read the make sure I'm do hosting this the right way based on how the
Yeah.
question's phrased. Should a team who makes be penalized with a loss and miss do host two S's? No, they should not be like penalized. Like I think that most of the college football, like here's where I come down on it is you make this call, you make the conference championship games, and like the conference championship games should still matter. If you start like penalizing teams for losing in those games, it's going to matter less because teams are going to actively try to not get in there because you have teams like Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M who are not in there who are going to be locked into a playoff spot because they don't play in a conference championship game. And then a team who plays another game because of because of the merits of what they did in the regular season, they play an extra conference championship game. Penalizing them doesn't make any sense. And like that was a big question going into the ACC championship game after Clemson beat SMU. And like I'm not saying this is ubiquitous. Like to the point that we brought up earlier when we were talking about our brackets. Like if Alabama gets its like ass kicked in, like then yeah, like that's a different story. Like you prove that hey, maybe like the merits of you getting there to that point, maybe you didn't quite belong. Like had Michigan beat Ohio State on Saturday and then gone and Oregon lost to Washington, Michigan goes to the Big Ten championship game and loses by 40 to Indiana, which I think is probably what would happen in that game. Like I don't think Michigan should get the benefit of the doubt, but like it's a case by case basis. But I think generally, as long as you like earn your way in like meritoriously and then you show up and like you actually play the game well and don't get like your head stomped in, I think penalizing them sends the exact wrong message for this like health of college football as a whole.
Yes, because ultimately it is a product. This is another weekend of ad revenue across, 2 days, both Friday and Saturday. You got all four Power Four leagues playing, on Saturday, two at the same time with the ACC and the Big Ten at 8 o'clock at night Eastern. But I would say Duhas two S's as well, because unless it's like Alabama loses something like 41-10 to Georgia,
Yeah.
which even at that point, we're not so sure because, the consequence of like, do you want to like BYU, like if they lose, like they're not in because they're not in the field. Virginia is kind of like playing you're in, which I think those
Mhm.
two programs accept and admit that. Whereas like the Georgias, the Indianas, the Ohio States, the Texas Tech are merely playing for seeding. You don't want to punish Alabama too bad, where Texas A&M doesn't has a very paper thin resume. I mean, yes, Oklahoma beat you head to head,
Right.
but you know, maybe I mean the only way this would happen is like if Alabama gets its skull kicked in by Georgia, they put Vanderbilt in because at least Vanderbilt's
Yeah.
playing up and they're trying Jennifer.
No, and I guess like where I'm also coming from is like in the case of out like Alabama is a weird test case because like their resume is so damn good regardless. Like they would
Yeah,
be an at-large team regardless if they were playing in the SEC championship game. And like they're like, yes, the Florida State loss is bad, but they've offset that with a ton of great wins, and their other losses not like anything. Like Oklahoma is a top 10 team in the country, like not a bad loss. And so like I keep coming back to the idea that like For Alabama specifically, I think it's just ludicrous. Like if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, it would be like dropping Georgia to like not having a home game at this point, despite the fact that they're going to be the number three team in the country. Like it's overly penal for and like again, the thing I really keep coming back to is like you're creating unnecessary consequences for conference championship games while teams that did not meritoriously earn their way into conference championship games don't have to face any consequences. And like that's where it really bothers me is like that like let's just flip this and say like well okay we have three SEC examples with Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss. Like the fact that they are going to be basically locked into what their seeds are or somewhere close to it at this point, like when the new college football playoff rankings come out, and the fact that Alabama has to worry about it, despite the fact that in SEC play, by the way that the standings broke out by the tiebreaker set forth by the conference, could get penalized because they were better than those teams. That doesn't make any sense.
Unless it's by absolute margin, like Alabama's gonna if they lose, they're the 10th seed, and
Right.
I'm okay with that. If they win, I don't know how high up they go. I said four earlier. I'm like, I don't think that's right. I think that they'll probably be like,
I think like kind of what we said about BYU. I think they would host a playoff game.
yeah, I think you'd probably you'd put Georgia behind them, I think, right?
Yeah, I think
Because
you could probably put them at like 6, 7, something like that. And I'm not trying to
yeah,
meme or anything like that, but like I do think like having
yeah,
Alabama at 6, Georgia at 7 would make a ton of sense.
5, 6, 7, somewhere in that range. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's fair, and I think we figured that out. That was a doozy. My brain went into Dan Wetzel pretzel, man.
Yeah, 100%, man.
All right, and let's move on to our next topic here with some definitely maybe. What teams do we definitely maybe who we think definitely maybe might be good in 2026? Because I'm me, I put two for each Power Four league and two out of the group of five. I don't know if you had one or whatever it is. How
I'm
do you
all
want to do
over the
this?
place if I'm being completely honest. There's no rhyme or reason to what I have down on this doc.
Okay, let's work through this. ACC, who do we think definitely maybe might be good if you have anybody there?
I do have one team. This is with the caveat, assuming they retain Mason Heinschel, Pitt's going to be dangerous next year.
Hmm.
Um, we make a lot of fun of Pat Narduzzi. He's a good football coach,
Yes.
and he's also sneakily he's also a front runner in a really big way. Whenever he has the goods, he knows it and he behaves as such. And like Heinzel's the goods, man. Heinzel like showed a hell of a lot, and like that program and that team took off this year. Once he took over, he's only going to get better. Like he's going to have a year of experience under his belt as he starts to mature physically and like progress there. And Pitt's not the most well-resourced program in the world, but they do have resources. Like they're not unresourced. And like it's a good roster now. And I think as you start to supplement that with the resources you have, I think Pitt is going to be really dangerous and a big threat in the ACC next year.
I not have Pitt listed, but like I agree with you there. Also, I looked at Mason Heinzel, like what's he look like with the helmet off? Just the ever-changing high school hair, man. I
Oh,
love this.
100%.
We all had that haircut. The two I had North Carolina State and I had Virginia Tech.
I about pissed down my legs. I thought you were just about to say North Carolina and stop there. And I was about to be like, no. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
North Carolina State for the same reason you have Pitt because of Bailey. Let's say
Hmm.
CJ Bailey and Dave Doran's a good head coach too. He's been there for a while. You kind of wonder like maybe Wisconsin should have hired Dave Doran. Maybe Michigan State should hire Pat Narduzzi, bring them back. That would but they're comfortable with what they're doing. I think
I
North
think the
Carolina
Nard dog would tell Michigan State to shove it up their ass if they offered him the job right now.
pretty much Narduzzi land, over there going into it's on a palisade going onto the Mon at some point like
That's
this.
right.
But in NC State, if Bailey stays, again, this might be a guy who might be a transfer portal candidate, but
Mhm.
like there were moments there I saw with NC State this year, like there's something, they're kind of starting to figure it out. The pieces didn't fit initially. They played really well versus Georgia Tech. I thought that mattered. They played better versus Georgia Tech than Georgia did. Not that that really means anything, but
Yeah.
and then also with Virginia Tech, James Franklin's going to come in there and they're going to add some stuff. I think Virginia Tech had talent, just poorly coached, particularly from Brent Pry. Philip Montgomery tried to keep on the tracks for as long as he could, and then became very Tulsa for him. And Sam Seiki's promising guy. Maybe that's why the Cardinals are awful
Yeah,
because he
right.
left.
It's entirely possible.
All right, so that's all I got for the ACC. If you had anybody for the Big Ten,
I have one from the Big Ten as well. I've got USC, which I know is kind of high up there as they were flirting with a playoff spot, but like I'm already preparing myself to like have USC in my preseason playoff field because like I don't think it should go discredit or uncredited. Like the difference between USC a year ago and this year. And like I'm
Yeah.
not just talking about like wins and losses. Like yes, obviously it's evident there, but I also think in just in terms of like how that team played, the fact that USC got the reputation of being a second half team, I would have called them the opposite last year. They were the
Yeah.
fold up and turtle up and die team last year. And like the fact that they like it feels like the culture is definitely shifting there. I'm not sure what the ceiling is. I'm probably not going to go as far as say it's a national championship ceiling or anything like that, but like I think that we have the pieces there, and you have a lot of those pieces returning. Maeva's probably coming back next year. Makai Lemon's probably gone to the NFL, but you've got Lane coming back. You've got this stable of young running backs coming back. Like, I think that things are trending in a really positive direction about USC in a way that's not really frankly, being talked about in a whole lot right now.
No, I kind of maybe overlooked them because I wasn't sure about Myava's
I
eligibility.
think he has one more year, if I'm not mistaken.
He might. Yeah, I'm sure he'll fight for it because if Pavia
Yeah,
can have more, sure, why not? My concern is you might lose Danton Lynn to UCLA
it's
potentially
very fair, and
because
like I do think that's a big part of what the identity has become.
yeah, because if I think UCLA's top choice is probably Bob Chesney,
Hmm.
and we're gonna wait and see what happens there with JMU. Chesney is either going to be coaching at UCLA or Penn State. I feel next year maybe.
Yeah, 100%. And which wherever he goes, it's a good hire. Dude knows how to coach football.
My two for the Big Ten are a little bit off the radar here. I've got Northwestern and I actually have Wisconsin, believe it or not.
Hell yeah.
David Braun survived a very tumultuous year, played a lot of games, in Azkaban and at Wrigley Field. Preston Stone was his quarterback. To grind it out to be able to like, you lose like four in a row, and then you basically get bowl eligible and everything like that.
Mhm.
I don't care if you're 6-6, but like you go into Ryan Field next year, it's renovated. You'll have one of those years where it's like, it's a really good Baylor year, but like
Yeah.
Baylor was not good this year.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll completely fold up like a chair here too. But I think that the guys who are there in Evanston this year, the last couple of years, have really they showed a lot of mental fortitude that I don't think Lane Kiffin did. So like I'm kind of there with Dr. Shave Face David Braun.
No, I'm with you. I think David Braun's a good coach. And like I also think that like he's kind of just been like shuffling the pieces to like get things in the way that like he knows that Northwestern football needs to be. And I think that's the biggest thing is he has a finger on the pulse of what Northwestern needs to be successful.
And then the reason I have Wisconsin here, believe it or not, it has nothing to do with Luke Fickell.
Yeah,
It has
I
nothing to do
assumed
with
as
Chris,
much.
nothing with Chris McIntosh, nothing with Jennifer Mnuchin. You have okay, maybe we'll put some more the booster money will go in there. So Dan Katz will be like, okay, I'll write a check to get a quarterback. You might have one on Carter Smith.
Hmm.
He's promising. But I think really the big thing is there's guys on defense kind of starting to step up. Posa and Catalano, like there's something there. And if you can basically sell to your boosters the Virginia rebuilding program, you can maybe be an 8-14. We'll see what happens. I'm not banking on it, but like I don't think you're going to be a festering sad bag of crap. But if you start 1-4 and you fire Fickle, then that'd be good for everybody. And Mark Knight's mental health, mine's improved being off of Wisconsin beat. Thank God.
There we go. Yeah. And I mean, Mark Knight had a tough season. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, he did. You have anybody for the Big 12?
Big 12. I kind of touched on it on Saturday night. Utah's not going away, man.
Yeah.
Like Devin Dampier, I think has 2 years of eligibility left, if I'm not mistaken. And he made the jump from New Mexico to Utah and didn't miss a whole hell of a lot of a beat, man.
No.
And like I think he's only going to get better because he's a raw quarterback, like just an athlete playing quarterback. And like we're only going to see that improve. And then on top of that, like as far as we know, Kyle Whittingham's back for another year. And there's one thing, like, there are a few things I know with certainty in college football. And one of them is Kyle Whittingham's a effing good coach, man. And, like, this team's not going anywhere, especially with, we're going to see, like, there's a chance we see some turnover at Texas Tech. Bear Bachmeier's most likely coming back to be the quarterback of BYU, but like that roster also has a lot of veterans. LJ Martin in the backfield to be specific, who's been a big part of what they do. Like I think Utah is in a really good position to kind of like restake claim to the top of the Big 12.
I did not have them listed because I know they're going to be good, but
Yeah.
like also I think this might be Kyle Whittingham's last year, and I think it would serve them. The man deserves to take this team to the playoff.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what I was looking at in terms of definitely maybe like taking a step, like a big step forward from what we saw this past year.
So the two I've got here, both sides of the sunflower. I've got Kansas State and Kansas.
Okay, okay.
Kansas.
Kansas.
Avery Johnson might hit puberty, and that might be good for K-State. 6-6. They he might come in there with like, broccoli cut or something like that and be like what we wish Drew Aller could be.
100%.
Chris Kleiman's a fantastic head coach. I think that like once he levels up and is able to play, it'll be great. Or they'll bench him, they'll have somebody else come in there and play quarterback. But I just think Chris Kleiman's too good of a head coach for Kansas State to be a 500 team. I also feel that like, when you lose the game over in Dublin, again, we don't know who's playing over there yet. We probably do, but it's out of the front of my mind. Like whoever loses that game, it really hits the fan. Florida State,
I'm pretty sure
Kansas.
North Carolina plays in Ireland next year. Yeah, it's
Uh,
TCU, North Carolina.
Jesus. I'm sorry, brother. But actually, I'm not sorry. I'm hoping that it goes poorly for you. If not, Sonny Dykes will just lose his luggage over there.
I hope Bill Belichick gets left in Ireland. That's what I'm hoping for.
Uh, leave the Serbian Croatian man in Ireland. He's not ready for this.
He's not at all.
No, and then with Kansas, 5-7, Lance Leipold, I don't know if he's going to get another job here. I mean, you lose Jeff Grimes, you lose two back-to-back offensive coordinators, Colt Nicky and Grimes. That's tough.
Yeah.
I think getting rid of Jalen Daniels is going to be you're going to be unencumbered with like the idea of him, and then you're going to be a little more resourceful. I think that Kansas been 5-7 the last 2 years. I think they kind of get back to being a bowl team. Maybe you have a ceiling of like 8-4, but like I don't think they're going to get to Arlington, but they'll get back to kind of being good Lance Leipold to Kansas.
Tell me if you follow me with this. I feel like Jalen Daniels is not just like he's almost like the Kansas's version of Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, where like you know what it is, and he's obviously someone who's well liked and like good enough, but like you need to try something different at a certain point. And like obviously the Vikings, the first time they tried that with Sam Darnold, that worked wonderfully. Like you moved on and you saw the ceiling, and then they tried it again and it's not working so well. But like I do think like to your point, like the unencumberdness of that, like I do think that there is definitely something to that.
I'm gonna see how Max Bresmer did in his debut.
He's
Shout out.
currently playing, and I last I looked, the game was
Um,
3-0.
13-0 Vikings looking at the 13-0 Seahawks. Of course, they have JJ McCarthy at the top of the thing on Google. It's not going super hot. Apparently, Harrison Smith got really hurt, so that's not good.
We don't love that. And I mean, like, tough game for Max Brosmer to make his debut. The Seahawks are really freaking good. And I'm just looking. One of the Seahawks scores was an 85-yard interception return. So don't think the Max Brosmer debut is going like the hottest.
No, that's you know what? It's still better. JJ McCarthy could have done that. That's all you really need to.
100%.
That's all you really need to know here. SEC, you have anybody there?
I have two in the SEC actually. And none in the G5. This is my last two that I've got. First one's Auburn, kind of just following up on the Golesh point. Hypothetically, let's say that Auburn retains Deuce Knight. Let's say that Auburn retains a Cam Coleman. Let's say that Auburn retains a lot of these guys that we had were the reasons that Auburn had any kind of expectations coming into 2025. I think Alex Golesh can have them hit the ground running, especially you bring in some other guys. And even if you don't retain Deuce Knight, hey, maybe Byron Brown comes to Auburn. Maybe that's what we're looking at. And like I just think that Auburn's going to catch some people slipping because I think Golesh is going like yes, he's a Heupel disciple, but he's also like he runs a different style of the veer and shoot. He runs something that a lot of these SEC defenses won't have seen before, and I think it's going to catch some teams off guard.
I do not have them listed because, well, it's the first year there, and also you got to play in Athens and Tuscaloosa, and you're not winning in either of those videos this year. That's the Auburn thing. It's the pendulum. It's so hard to be steady there. I have Mississippi State, Missouri.
Okay, I thought about Missouri. I did not list them, but I thought about Missouri for sure.
Mississippi State, they're playing super hard for Jeff Levy. The quarterback they had Taylor, really promising there. Jeff Levy has an eye for a talent. I don't think that anybody in Mississippi State they've got the right guy. They
Hmm.
just need a little more time to kind of build this up because with the untimely passing of Mike Leach, having to promote Zach Arnett in between, Mississippi State's going to go bowling next year. It was very close, but like you beat Texas next year, you beat Kentucky. you get to, I mean, not Kentucky, but like you win those close games that you didn't win this past year, and you go something like 7-5.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that from Mississippi State. Like I to your point, like it doesn't feel like it because you went 5-7, but like there was a big step forward from last year to this year, and like the one thing that's been consistent across both seasons under Jeff Lebby is these boys are playing like they're playing their asses off for him.
100%. Who was your other SEC team?
I didn't say it. I'm gonna be high on Texas again next year, dude.
Of course you are, man. You can't
Uh,
quit them, dude.
Arch Manning played really good football for like 6 weeks.
He did.
Like then like I feel like a lot of other parts of that Texas roster let them down, namely the offensive line, which is just dog water, which I did not see coming. Despite what they lost, I just thought that. But one of the things that I think is Steve Sarkisian's biggest strengths, and when we saw them make the college football playoff semifinal in 2024, one of the things I talked about that roster is he obviously recruits at extremely high level, a top five level virtually every year, but then he uses the transfer portal to supplement that in the highest order. And based on this, like the issues that we saw with the offensive line, based on the issues that we saw with the running game, I think that's where we see it get supplemented this offseason. And if you have Texas with Arch Manning playing at the level he did over the last month and a half of the season, with the defense that has the amount of talent that it does, and then you fix the weaknesses that really hampered this team, I think Texas is like you're not going to have the Arch Manning coming out of the gate looking like a deer in the headlights. Like you're going to have a full season of him looking like the player that we thought he was going to be. And like lo and behold, like it took him a second to adjust from playing 2A Louisiana football to playing in the SEC. Like who could have ever predicted that? But like I think that we're going to go into next season with preseason prognostication, particularly like the preseason AP poll being trepidatious about Texas because they got burned so badly with what happened this past year. And then I think Texas is going to steadily just keep climbing because I think Texas is going to be a lot closer to what they were supposed to be this year, next year.
Look, I think they probably play Georgia and Atlanta next year, and they'll probably lose to Georgia again.
Yeah,
But like the big thing for them is, I totally agree with you with Manning. He got better. You need to get rid of AJ Milwee. You need to get a new off. You need to get a new offensive guy in his ear because Arch plays like Grandpa Red, which is a little more frenetic. He's not
yeah.
as much of a precision passer. A lot of sidearm geometry or nonsense there.
He's
You're going to
better at it
retain.
than John Material. I want to
Yes,
clarify
yes,
that.
100%, 100%. Looks like you're going to keep Kwiatkowski for another year. Jeff Banks, probably need to kick the monkey business to the curb too. But like, you need to make a few coaching changes, and I think
Yeah.
you're right there. I
I
have,
to your point, I think that is highly likely, quite frankly, just because like 9-3 after being the preseason number one team in the country is not going to fly in
no.
Austin. It's not, and Sark's head's not going to roll. So someone's got to pay, and like I think you just named a lot of the candidates that are going to pay for it.
Seems about right. And I have Mizzou here. You got Drink back, which means you're probably going to retain Bo Pribula for another year.
Hmm.
Mizzou's always got a good defense. If they get a little bit more firepower on offense, you're looking at them being essentially Oklahoma this year.
100. I like that. Yeah, like I said, I thought about Mizzou and like the drink extension is obviously the biggest part of that. Like you kept one of the most under and what in I think an opinion that we share, like one of the most underrated head coaches in college football. And like who's done a really good job and like I was kind of running through it, man. Like Mizzou kind of got screwed this year by the Pribula injury.
Yeah,
Like it made the Vanderbilt game uncompetitive because he got hurt in that game late and like or sorry, he got hurt and it made it uncompetitive late. Like they just couldn't move the ball. Zeller came in and just like looked like he didn't have it. And beyond that, like you were out like your season was basically lost when you didn't have Bo Pribula. And like that's tough. Injuries do happen, but like I think it also overshadows how close Missouri actually was to being like a legitimate playoff team.
they're ranked for a while, and they've had their moments and everything like that. I think Drink's the fact you stand, and they had so many other opportunities out there. I think that Arkansas, I think Florida, I think Auburn are kind of kicking themselves in the ass. Like, wish we could have gotten him, but give Mizzou's boosters administration credit for keeping a coach who's probably who might be better than what your job provides.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's a little bit better than Missouri, but as long as he's there, Missouri's in good hands.
Yeah, he's Gary Pinkel with personality. It's
That's
great.
right, 100%.
And the two G5s I've got East Carolina and I've got Western Michigan.
I like the East Carolina pool. That's a good one.
You're a big fan of Blake Harrell. He's really been able to help elevate the Pirates. The Pirates are kind of back to being what they are. If they win one more game, they're potentially playing in the American. Look, they've had some challenges going from CUSA, the old CUSA to this with resources, but it took some time. I think they're kind of finally starting to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of Blake Harrell, and I think we're just gonna see. I think we're just gonna see the talent get better in East Carolina. Like I think Blake Harrell did a really good job of maximizing the talent to have East Carolina in a spot where they had a shot to play for the American title this year. I didn't think it was a good enough team to be able to do that, quite frankly. Um, and I think we're only going to see the talent level grow. And you also got to think like the talent void in the American is opening up in a pretty big way with South Florida, Tulane, and Memphis all going through coaching changes. Brother, there is a void to fill.
Yeah.
And East Carolina is in one of the best positions to be able to do that.
And Jeff Traylor, the prodigy.
I mean, the prodigy's always there. You can only keep a prodigy down for so long. Bobby Fischer lost a chess match every now and then.
Rest in peace. But yes, and there might be a prodigy in the Kalamazoo with Lance Taylor.
Hmm.
I think that they're gonna. We'll touch on this, with Jalen with some Nine Inch Nails. I think that Western Michigan's gonna smoke Miami, Ohio, and Fort Field
I mean, that's someone, if I'm one of those American programs that did open up, that's someone who I'm considering. I'm giving a call to for sure.
because I believe he was on Brom's staff at Louisville. I think he's a Louisville
I think you're
alum.
100% right there. Let me make sure on that, but I think you're. Do. Yeah, he was the OC at Louisville.
Yeah,
And prior to that, he was the running backs coach under Brian Kelly at Notre Dame.
yeah.
So little
This
little bit of
guy's
pedigree.
I I wouldn't shock me if he gets one of these jobs beyond Western Michigan this year. But if he's back, that's a team that could potentially win the Group of Five next year.
100%, absolutely.
More importantly, they've done it before with PJ Fleck, and I think if you've done it before, you can do it again.
100%. Even the selection committee remembers things.
They remember things, and we remembered some stuff too. Here, let's move on to our penultimate topic here with some pouring out and some bowling.
Hmm.
Uh, all of our 5-6 teams, including Army, well, we was 5-5, but they got to win, so we'll touch on them. All right, I'm gonna pour one out for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Is that how you say it, or am I saying it wrong?
No, Appalachian is correct. Don't not a long A.
Appalachian State Mountaineers. Losing, you know, Joey Jaguar, bringing in Towel Loggins. It was going to take some time. 5-7. Uh, thought they were going to do it, but no, they came down to the wire, but didn't get in.
No, I mean App will be back. Like it's a very well run program, and I think Dow Loggins is a good coach.
Pouring out for the Auburn Tigers. You sold your soul for Hugh Freeze, so you're going to get a guy who's soulless to save you in Alex Golesh.
Yeah, Solus and God, I can't like we were starting Ashton Daniels in the Iron Bowl, man. Like we gotta get out of that. Whatever led to that, don't do that again.
No, no, like Cam Coleman and Eric Single come to Athens, man.
Yeah, for real.
Pouring out for the Baylor Bears, who the sensei, man, this thing's stuck in the mud. I wouldn't be surprised if they fired Dave Aranda tomorrow and they hired Jimbo Fisher because
I wouldn't be surprised, but I would laugh again. It'd be
yeah,
funny.
Baylor's become completely anonymous there in the Big 12, and that's not
Hmm.
what Baylor should be.
Yeah, no, they're like Houston feels like they've already taken what Baylor was supposed to be.
Exactly. Pouring out for the Buffalo Bulls. Pete Limbo got stuck in the ooze, and they were trying to get to 6 wins, couldn't quite do it. The Mac had a the Mac,
The Mac this year, man. The Mac was the
yeah.
Mac. Like it was a very weird league.
I don't think any of them won a non-conference game, but they beat the crap out of each other. It was great.
That's right, man. It's yeah, there's a reason we haven't discussed what the max chances are of getting one of the G5 spots in the playoffs.
No, sir. Pouring out for the Florida State Seminoles, who are essentially a MAC team under Mike Norvell. I can't believe they're going to allow that to continue. What a sad bag of crap that is.
Yeah, not what you want. Shouts to my personal hero, Bud Elliott, who is dialing back the Nolecast. He's also, in addition to Cover 3, he also does a Florida State podcast as an alum of Florida State. And for like a decade and a half, it's been like one of the most beloved Florida State podcasts. I don't listen to it because I don't care about Florida State, but yeah, Florida State fans do love it. And he announced yesterday that they're dialing it back. And basically, he said his comments were, "We will recommit to the same time schedule once the administration recommits to the program in the same way." And I was like, "Well, that tells you a lot about where this is."
I was gonna say this about your personal about Elliot. Not much of a blinker.
No, oh no, God no, he stares straight into your soul.
No, he's like that. He's like that drummer chick in Scott Pilgrim, dude.
A
Blinks
hundred
once
percent.
per episode. He's got to be locked in with whatever nonsense Danny Kanell says. Never hell. He's on the show, and also just seeing, Fernelli saying things and Chip Patterson just getting more gray by the day a second.
That's a show where they just say things, man.
Yeah, hell yeah. They're doing stuff there at Lawrence, Kansas. Got pouring out for the Kansas Jayhawks. Jalen Daniels was the Cam Black smoke rising you had in the garage. Never
Yeah,
really got out of the garage.
100%. Sorry the eighth year didn't work out for you, man.
No, sir. Pour one out for the Kentucky Wildcats. Truly a pitiful performance versus Louisville.
I'm gonna
Miller
be honest.
Motte,
I don't think they deserve us to pour one out. Like, I mean,
no, they
we
don't.
have to contractually, but like, they don't deserve it.
No, they should be left in the. They should be stripped of their clothes and thrown in the Daniel Boone National Forest and be told to survive.
100%.
You played like drop eight in cover shell, and Louisville ran all over you with the fifth and sixth string quarterback. They're like, we're not going to let Miller Moss beat us. And he's like, well, Jeff and Brian, here you go. We're just going to hand the ball off a bunch.
100%.
When I went Buck Baloo on your ass, man.
Oh God, you put that own cake me sign on your back.
Yeah, 100%. Pouring out for the Marshall Thundering Herd. Lost to Georgia week one, a team that Ollie Vandervoort picked was going to beat Georgia week one. Did not happen. Kind of dealing with the Charles Huff departure. Tony Gibson tried so hard, got so far, but in the end, it didn't really matter.
No, I mean, I'm gonna give Gibson credit. Like, I thought this was gonna be one of the worst G5 teams in the country, and like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're not a bowl team, but like, it took you to the last week of the regular season to not be a bowl team, and like, honestly, would give it all you lost. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, a lot better than I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be like a 3-9 team. They're 5-7. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's a positive sign if you're a Marshall fan.
100%. Pour one out for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. You're getting there, guys. Just get a little more time.
Whatever I was gonna pour out for Kentucky, I'm gonna take it and pour it out for Mississippi State because that's a team I actually feel bad is not going to a bowl game.
Me too, man. And pour one out for your family's team, the Rice Owls, with Uncle Cousin Scott Abel.
Yeah, I mean, again, another team that did not have any expectations coming into the season and came close, man, and they put a scare into some teams for sure.
100%. It helps me get rid of some JT Daniels hanging around.
That does help, yeah. JT Daniels has never been a profitable endeavor in college football.
No. I don't know if we need to pour one out for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, but we're going to.
I mean, they have to live in New Jersey, so we probably should.
Yeah, maybe have Raheem Morris coach your team.
Uh,
I, I had like a thought about this. They had that awful fumble versus Penn State in the 5 or 6. One of them goes bowling, one of them does not. I had like I wish I could remember my thought about Rutgers. I was sitting there thinking about this like this morning when I woke up. Like, I got a really good Rutgers thought here, which is a horrible thing to say. Scott Rogister looking at me side-eyed like, are you kidding me? Why would you possibly say that?
why would you say? I mean, that's kind of how Rutgers football operates, though. Like
Yes,
they have a really good thing going, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So it's fitting.
I remember it now. They do for as good as Greg Schiano knows the pulse of that team, he does not get them to play complimentary football. It's
No,
it's
God no.
it's the most mind-boggling thing. We know that they retain people. They retain. It always says like 84% guys coming back. People don't transfer out. People believe in this thing. There's weeks where they play great defense and nothing offensively. And then yesterday, play good offense, not a lick of defense. Why is this so disjointed? Maybe that's why the Buccaneers fired you.
Yeah, I mean it's like I think Greg Schiano is about as good as Rutgers is going to be able to do as a coach, and that's more of an indictment on Rutgers than it is a compliment to Greg Schiano.
I know. Pouring out for the Temple Owls, Casey Keeler. I don't know how much more time you got to do this because you're like 65 or whatever. I thought you guys were going to go bowling. You're hanging around for a while. Obviously, there's some maybe you can take advantage of the flux there in the American, but like, come on, man. I thought you come on. This one frustrated me too.
It's frustrating. I think we don't talk about like Temple's a tougher job than I think a
Yeah,
lot of people realize.
it is because Your third fiddle in state behind Penn State and Pitt, and Pitt's
Yeah,
a
and
very
like
distant second
despite the fact that you're in Philadelphia, like you're losing any recruiting battle in the Philadelphia area.
to Rutgers.
Yeah.
And pour one out for the UCF Knights. Not really going to champion Scott Frost. I think it's kind of funny that he, took his final game to get there and then not even close.
Hey, he got up 14 nothing in that final game though. Don't forget it.
Stop the count here. All right, do you want to do it or do you want me to do it for both?
I think it's my turn, so let me get the pipes ready and we'll go for it.
All right. The Fighting Butch Joneses of Jonesboro. That's why he's there. Just so much Jonesing going on there at Arkansas State. The Red Wolves are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
Hell yeah, they are. A team that can use an entire quarter to run a single play. Death taxes and the Army triple option offense, they're inevitable. Jeff Mock and the boys are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
Yes, they are. Um, really excited about this because Alabama punched that ball out. The Delaware Blue Hens, the first year moving up, are 6-6. They're gonna do it. They're allowed to go.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
The Fighting Rich Cannons, eat your heart out.
Hell yeah.
Ryan Carty ran the score up on that game,
Oh
dude.
yeah, 100%.
I kind of feel like he's got another he's gonna be a coach we're gonna be talking about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The coach that we used to talk a lot about, but not so much anymore. Clay Helton down in Statesboro. The Georgia Southern Eagles are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
Yes, they are. And Georgia State's is just pitiful.
It's there. It's there for
It's
sure.
yeah, it sure is. And the teeny bopper extraordinaire, the voice of Christian McCaffrey, the locks of Leif Garrett, the Kansas State Wildcats are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Dude,
You
Avery
must.
Johnson looks like the Stranger Things kids in like the late seasons, where like he's way like you the age just doesn't look right. You know what I mean? Like he's just like I don't know if he's too old or too young to be playing this old. Like it doesn't make any sense.
What, like Gaten Mazzaraca is like 25 at
That's
this
what I'm
point?
saying. That's what Avery Johnson looks like. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
Dude, I told you about around this time a year ago when the Arizona State podcast saw Finn Wolfhard and Kim McLaughlin like in
Yes.
Cabbagetown.
Yes.
Caleb McLaughlin's like 30.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Not gonna say that. That's okay. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns, a team we've talked nothing about this year, but they did get to 6 wins, and they're going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Um, I'll give Louisiana this. Their quarterback, his name is Lunch Winfield. Lunch, like I'm gonna eat lunch. And so just shouts to them for that because that's what I want to see.
Legend lunch. That's awesome. I didn't know this. A team that doesn't have a head coach yet. That's the best job available right now. Maybe they want to hire Terry Smith from within because they've won 3 straight games in conference play over Michigan State, Nebraska, and now Rutgers. The Penn State Nittany Lions are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling. Don't hire Terry Smith. Don't do that.
No, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. Hire Kalen DeBoer if he doesn't win the SEC championship game.
Yeah, for real.
Another guy that we thought would be higher on the coaching carousel, GJ Kinney, Texas State Bobcats. They won enough games here. They're also switching leagues. They're going to be joining the Pac-12 with a bunch of other teams,
That's
and
right.
they're 6-6, and they're going.
Bowling, 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 bowling.
Hell yeah, they are. And a team that was left for dead. They won the Pac-2. They lost John Mateer. They lost Ben Arbuckle. They lost Jake Tickert, but Jimmy Rogers and them, the boys, the Fighting Braulio Perez's are going.
Bowling, 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 bowling on the Palouse.
Getting loose in the police. That was dumb. I'm gonna have to do that again. Thank God.
Thank God, man.
All right,
Our
let's move
vocal
on.
cords thank us, that's for sure.
I know vocal cords, pinched nerves, just being in shambles here. All right, let's move on to our last topic of the day. With the less I know, the better. Again, we do this periodically throughout the season. It's the end of the regular season. We'll probably do this after the playoff as well. But we're gonna do, what we learned, what we were the most right about during the regular season, what we learned the most, and what we're gonna keep getting wrong.
Hmm.
Cody, what were you the most right about this year?
The ACC's ass, man. And I told like outside of like I understand that I was also very wrong about Clemson, but I thought Clemson was going to be the only team worth a damn in the ACC, and turns out there wasn't anyone worth a damn in the ACC.
No,
So
they weren't.
the
No, they
ACC
weren't.
was just hot ass, and I
No.
I saw that coming a mile away.
I have two in case we overlapped. I was so right about Oregon being the third best team in the Big Ten.
Hmm.
Problem was I thought Penn State was the second best team, and
Right,
it was Indiana or Ohio State. And I called the Tavita Pritchard hire weeks ago, which
you did
I feel really smart about talking about a bunch of smarty smarts.
100%. You crushed that one.
All right, what did you learn the most this year?
Um, I like to go broad when it comes to learn and getting wrong, as anyone who's listened to this program in this segment knows. Good coaches can coach good. That's what I wrote
Yes.
down. And like when I started looking at like this college football playoff field, like I've dogged on Texas A&M a lot. Texas A&M being a lot better than I thought they were going to be, even with that being 11-1. Mike Elko turns out knows how to coach.
Yeah.
Talk about Indiana. Are they a 1 year wonder in 2024? No, they're actually even better this year because Kurt Cignetti is a damn good football coach. JMU, are they going to drop back after losing Kurt Cignetti in 24 and 25? No, because Bob Chesney is a damn good football coach. Like I at a certain point, like I think the thing I really need to like ingrain in my brain is like I do it with a Kirby Smart, a Ryan Day, the highest of the highs, but like in Kurt Cignetti's in that category now, in my opinion. But regardless, like I need to like recognize like when I think a coach is like legitimately like a higher end coach and perhaps undervalued, to like bank on that more than I am like just the players on the roster because coaching is going to overcome a lot in this sport where there's so much variance.
Why do you think I'm so high in Kansas State next year? Chris Kleiman's so good.
Exactly, man.
My two. Mike Shula is the worst thing to ever happen to football.
It's true, man.
Look, we were in high school when he was coaching at Alabama, so we don't remember it as deeply as we do now.
Hmm.
The man, the man just destroyed Lenore Sellers' NFL's draft stock.
Yeah. Hopefully he can get it back.
Don, I wonder what Don's just like. Yeah, congratulations, man! I can't believe you did that.
I don't think Mike would have been invited to Thanksgiving, quite frankly.
And I don't think so either. And also, I learned, a lot about the John Mateer experience, just watching it more and more frequently. I saw this one, guys turning the ball over a lot. No, he's the Heisman Trophy winner, and I'm like, no, the dude's a turnover machine. He is just,
I
he's the
think I was
gunslinger.
spot
Oh,
on
you,
with the Jameis Winston Cup. Like he's Bucks
yeah.
Jameis Winston.
I hope he comes back to Oklahoma, man, just because we need it some more. It's like a more likable version of Carson back.
Hell yeah.
And what are you going to keep getting wrong?
Sorry, I just got to say, John Mateer's got FanDuel instead of Snapchat.
We're all getting
Anyway,
we're all getting that NIL somewhere, man.
what am I gonna keep getting wrong? And I think I think you, me, and a lot of people do this, but I'm gonna keep doing it. First impressions. I really ingrain first impressions and like have a hard time getting out. And like three examples: Ty Simpson. I saw like my first impression of Ty Simpson. I was like, this dude can't play college football at a high level. Like he just can't. Turns out he can. And I was very wrong about that. Gunnar Stockton. I was worried about like what the ceiling was. Like, I didn't think he was going to be bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought he was going to be a worse version of Stetson Bennett. Turns out he might just be Stetson Bennett. And so, and then on the flip side of that, my first impressions of Garrett Nussmeier were this dude just looks like an NFL quarterback, and turns out he might not be an NFL quarterback. And
You might,
I don't think that's entirely his fault, but like I gotta stop. Like I should stop like being married to what my first thoughts of these players and teams were. I'm not going to, but I should.
we all love Zach Mettenberger, but we don't.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, my two. So, I'm gonna keep believing that coaches on the move actually care about their players. They don't give a rat's ass about them. Lane Kiffin never gave a flying F about these players, man.
No.
Um, he was like praying, like a word that my dad would say, but his dad's like, "How about don't be an effing asshole anymore, Lane?"
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of these guys are just talking out of their side of their mouth. Jimmy Sexton's just making a lot of money before he's going to be waving up at us too. It's just not a not a good guy. None of
Yeah.
this is all so seedy. And then you know what? I'm going to say it out here. I don't care if people come back at me and get mad at me. I'm gonna keep believing the game's a fun watch. It's not. I'm not. I don't watch a lot of Big Ten football. I'm like, oh, Big Noon, it's gonna be great. I gotta sit here and watch Urban Meyer talk. That's awful. Get to see Dave Portnoy wear a Wolverine costume without being a Hugh Jackman. That's not great. And then I tune in, and it's just Gus Johnson, and it's just playing in the snow. And I'm like, you know what? I understand that these teams kind of really hate each other, but I was like, I mean, I want this to be done so I can watch Tennessee Vandy, to be honest with you. I was just like, and also I don't watch enough Big Ten football on Fox. I'm like everybody in the .com or the NCAA division teams like saying, "Oh, these commercials." I'm like, "No, man, I'm stuck on there." I just basically I go ABC from like noon to midnight. That's what I do.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm a big fan of the game because I like the energy around it. And I'm also not like Gus Johnson's not my favorite, but I don't hate him quite to the level that you do.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that there is something to the idea that it is a little overrated.
My favorite rivalry in college football with Georgia involved is probably the Iron Bowl because I'm like,
Yeah.
literally anything can happen in this thing.
Yeah,
That's how
that
I feel.
the Iron Bowl is absolutely badass insane every single
It's,
time.
you know,
Especially when it's at Jordan Hare. Like that's when you know things are going to get weird.
yeah, it got really weird here there. They almost went with Ashton Daniels, man.
What a world.
He was probably like Colin Kaepernick out there. It wasn't great.
No, it
Just
wasn't.
run it.
He was not the reason that they almost won. Let's be clear about that.
No, it wasn't. And you know what? This was episode 231 of False Start. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter at X at Buhler118. You can follow Cody Williams at the Sizzle20. You can follow the show at CFB False Start. Like, rate, listen, subscribe, review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. That's about how many assistants Lane Kiffin's going to try to take with him from Oxford to Baton Rouge.
Multiply
Uh,
that by like four, and you got how many players he's going to try to take with him.
5, that might be the amount of wins that Pete Golding gets next year taking over for him.
Unfortunately, yes, that might be right.
Um, God, what a day, man! What a weekend.
Yeah, what a weekend. And then I just want to point out that you listed off like a dozen head coaching openings, so there's still a lot more stuff that's about to happen.
I know, and I gotta talk about the Falcons here in a second. I'm gonna go have some like food or whatever with the Arizona State podcast after this. And it's December is next year. You got one more month to be a good person, I guess.
Do something to spark joy after you talk about the Falcons, because that's certainly not going to do it.
Be the spark, be the joy, be the light in someone's life, because this is False Start.